everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Wednesday close. And it seems like we pretty much are really at the same point that we were yesterday with the market, except slightly grinding higher. And I guess, look, in some ways you can't not expect it. The good thing is there wasn't any traps today in the markets. So in the previous session, we talked about if we're going to fill a gap, where's it going to happen? It's going to move underneath this level. That will trigger algos. The algos will sell the market. We did not see that. Good news, because traps are nasty. So we haven't really seen one of these sell kind of traps from the perspective of the new short into the gap close. That may not happen. We've talked about the stats with that. Gap fills tend to happen the next day, 20% of the time. Then it drops down to 10. Then it drops down to about 7 and a bit. Then it drops down to 5, and it becomes less and less and less likely as we go through the days. Just remember, this is from 1927 to 2021 October. So this is a lot of stats, and it really shows you how often the gaps fill and how fast they fill. They usually fill in the end. As we see, they usually fill in the end, but that could be just due to some kind of crash or correction that happens later on. As we say, 31 to some kind of crazy number of candles. So welcome everyone to the stream. Today we'll be talking about everything to do with the stock market right now. We'll be talking about the crypto markets and, of course, commodities. There's plenty of stuff going through there. We've got a donation coming in from Aussie Copper 71, big supporter of the channel. Thank you very much, Aussie Copper. $4 super sticker. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you very, very much. And yeah, we'll get into the show. Let's see what's going on here. People are saying Maximus Aurelius says 4,800 by New Year's. Certainly quite possible, yes. Kind of the thing that I think. In many ways, I could see the S&P 500 getting towards about that 4,800. I don't think we'd be getting a huge grind, 5, 6, 7% higher. 4,800 is 2.22. I think that probably is fair. Maybe some sideways, slightly up action. Kind of like this. Nice grind. That'd be pretty good. Nothing wrong with that. I think where the interest is going to be in the sectors. And let's load up the sectors here coming into the close so we can see what Wall Street's targeting. Which areas are they liking? Which areas are they not liking today? Because it hasn't been a big move. I mean, in general, if we bring up the actual market itself, US 100 is 0.04 up. US 500 0.06. So it's less about maybe the market itself and more about which sectors are they starting to rotate into. So let me just grab that up for you now. Let's download this as it sits and load it up. So here are the biggest sectors for the day. Now there's a few in here that are interesting. XLC, a hated sector, communications, 0.81% up. IBB, another underappreciated sector recently, is going up 1.03%. So these are the two that are doing the best today. XLK taking a breather. And of course, the defensive ones, the utilities and the consumer staples, again, showing negativity, which shows us that Wall Street is not really trying to load up on defensive sectors. They're starting to look, okay, now that we believe maybe the market's going up, which ones are we going for? Let's have a look at IBB just to put it into perspective of how poor this sector's been recently and where it's come off. So here is the support. Notice the resistance. Look where it's bounced off, right off that zone. And I think that's a big deal for a lot of traders. We scroll into something like a daily here, and you'll notice it's coming up to a key point. So we're about to hit previous support, acting as resistance. We close above that zone. Maybe we've got like let me have a look here if we actually have a downtrend across the whole board. I think we might. Let's check this out. There we go. So we get closures above these types of zones, maybe something like this. Could this be an underappreciated sector for future gains? I would argue it certainly could be. Just to get back to the top, we're looking at 15.71%. XLC is very similar. So XLC, which is the communication sector, is heavily down and started bouncing recently. It's actually double bottom down here. It's moving up towards the resistance, 78. But this is still down from top to bottom around 11.75%. So there is opportunity in the markets. It just depends on which sector you're looking at and where you're choosing to go. That's a big deal here. KM says Apple has to come down. It doesn't have to come down, KM. A lot of people think that it's overvalued and that it's so expensive. And maybe that's just a TA kind of component of it. But if we actually look up Apple here and we look at it on a PE ratio just alone, and we don't want it to say the page isn't working. Okay, that's not going to work for us, it looks like. Oh, it's not going to load up. But anyway, what I was going to show you is the PE ratio for Apple has been higher. Now, I'm not saying it's cheap. It's not cheap, but it's still growing. It's kind of growing like a growth stock would in terms of revenue per quarter. So it's not overly expensive based on the last earnings. It was actually more expensive PE ratioed in 2020, 2021, the beginning. Joseph DeSalsa, $4.99. Thank you very much. Hey, Tom, just wanted your thoughts on using Bollinger Bands for day trading. Been using it more lately, finding it a very useful tool. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Bollinger Bands. Use it only in day trading generally, though. Though you can put Bollinger on larger time frames. So for anyone that doesn't know, you just add Bollinger. There's no need to go through crazy amounts of different strategies for Bollinger or anything like that. Basically, the middle of a Bollinger, just so you're aware, is the 20 moving average, not the 20 simple moving average, not the 20 EMA. So you'll notice that that's why it's in the middle. I bet you a lot of you didn't know that. Did anyone not know that? A lot of people don't know what they're doing with the Bollinger sometimes. And then we've got standard deviations away. Now, in general, you don't really want to change it too much. Some people change the Bollinger standard deviations. If you do that, then you're looking for more extreme action, which is totally fine. And you'll notice on the weekly here, what tends to happen is I only bring the Bollinger into our analysis when we start to gap out of it heavily. So we close out of the Bollinger. So like here, we close out the Bollinger. We hit a level of resistance. I might bring it on for the analysis. But yeah, look, there's nothing wrong with this indicator. It's just showing you the standard deviations. Obviously, when you get outside, either way, you're starting to kind of put extreme pressure on the market. And I tend to use it for this type of reason. Now, in day trading, if you're on a 1 hour chart or something like that, and you're looking at the Bollinger, depending on how you're doing it, why do so many people trade it from the top down into the middle or the bottom up into the middle? Because it's the 20 moving average. That's why it works quite well. So yeah, it's a good indicator and I would use it in day trading. I think it's absolutely fine. SPX grinding a slight high breakout here. Again, it looks strong. We really started saying that down here even as a community, but we got even more bullish on it here. And we remain bullish on it for the end of the year. I don't think that it's going to second correct. Could be wrong, unlikely, based on what we're currently seeing. But bears will have to basically push it right around here. And we've already mentioned the NASDAQ before. If we go over to the NASDAQ and we think about, well, where do the bears kind of lose completely? You'd have to say once the market gets above 16,450-ish, at that point, even the people that are trading left hand, head, right hand, so the head and shoulders, they're going to get stopped out. It's unlikely to see a turnaround story. So what do you guys think? Do you think that there's bearish action coming into the end of the year? I mean, obviously we'll get little corrections, little moves, but overall, do you see this being negative? Let's have a look. Any other notables here? We've got the US 10-year coming up, 2.78%. That actually looks like it's starting to move ahead now. So it's hitting the previous trend line, but at the same time, seems like it's based pretty well. So that's moving on up there. US oil continues to crank out higher. That's been amazing for us. We're still looking at this to hopefully break through. Check out this chart. This is phenomenal coming into the close here. We've got really nice movement up to the resistance. We talked about it here. We talked about it here. I think that this is just technical 101 plays. We now have a whole bunch of rejections. Don't get won over by the fact that it's rejecting. But if it does close above and we see the closure out, then of course what the price action is telling us is it's coiling, getting ready for the next big move. The next big move somewhere around $75. So oil still looks pretty damn good here. Microsoft, please. Okay, check that out. And PayPal breaking out. PK Subbins excited. All right, we'll look at some stocks in just a second. Let's keep going through some of these indices. IWM, best index of the day. Again, it should be. It got smashed the most. Still has lots of upside just to fill the gap at 230. It looks quite good. Check out the daily and the weekly. So the weekly is obviously fully rejecting that zone. Daily coming back up. This is good for you, Thad. If you're out there, you'll be happy. And anyone that did hold it as more of an investment, it's coming back fairly strongly. So this should be hopefully around this area as long as the market holds up. I would expect more rotation into this. Someone mentioned before PayPal's going well. A lot of hyper stocks are going fairly well as well. Square up another 2.49%. TDOC's up 3.54%. Roku's up 18.2%. So remember, what we spoke about was from an investment level, these things were getting cheap on PS ratios. All these hyper stocks, all these hated stocks that are starting to become cool again because they've just been belted for so long. The market's rotating into them. And you can tell because they've belted them all. Look, DKNG. Look what's happening. DKNG is getting rotation into. PayPal breakout here. Yes, I agree. So we go down 4 hour. PayPal has now broken past that nasty 4 hour 20 moving average. It's closed above, which it actually did a few hours ago, it looks like. And it's rotating at this stage towards that bullish kind of action. And look, it's got a lot of uptick in it. I mean, as an investor, you're looking at this chart and you're thinking, holy moly, where was PayPal before? And you've got to do some fundamentals here to figure it out. But even just to get it back here, that's a 30% gain just to get it back here. So some pretty damn big stuff here. Ara says shop AMD and Nvidia analysis. Yeah, we'll check those out. And we'll have a look at Microsoft as well. So the Russell 2000 looks good on the index. We'll look at Tesla now, and we'll move into the others. So Tesla continues to grind slightly higher. It's at a resistance into the close. Oh, actually, it might have just broken out. Let's have a look daily. I'd say it's still a bit marginal, but day traders would have been happy. It's kind of closing at a resistance. I'm still bullish about it trying to get back up to higher levels, but overall, yes, we do have that support, possible resistance with the 20 moving average on the daily. We get above that through the next session, should continue further ramp for something like Tesla. Let's have a look at the 1 hour chart. Very nice. Thank you as well to the almost 500 people already joining us today. If you could smash that like button, does help us out. Trio has the Christmas rally on the mind with the little Santa Claus. Look, Christmas rally doesn't mean it's going to give you huge percentages. It's usually only a few percent, as we saw. But it's good to have a bit of stabilization after what's gone on. And this is the time where you bunker down. You say, okay, if we believe the market's recovering, which sectors are we going to target? Are we going to target sectors that have been hated that could come into rotation? Are we going to go and buy the hot sectors right now? What's the best thing for us to do? And I think you can tell that by looking at the price action throughout them. And I would say that sector analysis is actually something I do a lot. And in the private group mentoring, I really go down into that because it's an in-depth discussion, but certainly something that I like. I do like the sectors. Let's move through some more. We'll do some of these stocks that you guys have requested. So we'll go Microsoft first. I'm not really too big a Microsoft fan from an investment standpoint. I'm a huge fan. From a day trading standpoint, unless you're trading options, I tend to find it a little bit difficult to pull triggers on. And I don't really think Microsoft's showing us anything in particular. It's kind of like just saying, okay, cool. We had a support. We gapped above that and we retested it. And now we might be looking towards the bull side. I mean, not going to bet against it, are you? But yeah, it's just difficult to analyze. Nvidia, let's have a look at this one. Nvidia down 2.26%. Look, it's in probably what you would think is consolidation after a large move. So we have to look at the left-hand side and understand, how does this stock move? So the stock's bulled up, consolidated. The stock's bulled up, partially consolidated. The stock's bulled up. I think it's in consolidation for now. So it still looks strong, but this area should be an area where it just starts to chill. You know, it can't go up forever at the pace that it's been going up. It's worth $790 billion. We're talking about $1 trillion stock at some point for sure. I doubt that Nvidia can't get there, but I think it could remain trapped. So this is what I was talking about with sector analysis. It's a great stock, no doubt. If it breaches to the upside, fantastic. Then, of course, you're looking for further bull action, which is going to happen around this 338 area. But we also do need to just really focus in on where it's currently at, what it's currently trading at. So it's been hitting monthly R3s. So that's R3 pivots for a few months now. It's been hitting a monthly R3 pivot. And then we've got our new pivots that are super wide. And it just doesn't tend to, this stock does tend to have these random massive spurts in it. And then when it has these spurts, it can consolidate for a little while, has a spurt, kind of angle consolidates, has a spurt, and does a lot of this. So because it has a lot of these types of actions, this is what I think we're in right now. We must wait for a breakout to get really excited about the stock again. Just my opinion. The Grinch that stole Christmas rally speaks on Wednesday. House of the Rising Funk, obviously talking about old Fed man. Let's have a look at the news here. So we're really well aware of what's going on this week. So big news really only near the end. We've got the CPI data on Friday, December the 10th. So CPI data, 8:30 a.m. New York time. And if we scroll through to the next week and we have a look at some of the big key news coming out, we've got PPI here. We've got CPI for, no, that's not for the US. We've got core retail sales. And then we've got, of course, the federal funds rate, FOMC press conference. So that's what they're talking about. Wednesday, December 15th, we'll have the potential Grinch coming back to the market. I don't think he's going to be too grinchy, but it could create some volatility for us. And that'll be an interesting one. Another sign that we're probably out of the correction or out of whatever you want to call that. I don't even call it a correction. I just call it a stupid bit of news. Is that we basically are back underneath 20 VIX. Now, can it spike at any point? Of course, but this is showing us the market is stabilizing. And I've warned many VIX traders against this, that you have to be fast. If you're not fast in the market, look how quickly the VIX trades back down. And we're just going to close underneath 20 today. Again, showing a stabilization. Another thing that's showing a stabilization is the 20-year bonds. The 20-year bonds here are dropping through. I mean, that's not even a question now, that it's gone through the support. And I had a feeling this might have been a false breakout based on everything else we were seeing. Because in this, like, every circumstance is different, but this one certainly was very likely to bounce off that weekly 20. And I hope a lot of you guys have seen why that was there. The weekly 20 was just so good. Kamal says, I can't lie, Tom. I've been following you since last January. Your TA is always on point. Learned a lot from you. Much love. Well, it's good that you've been learning, and that's what it's all about. Trying to get as good as we can and make the best decisions. George says, why is Amazon so boring over 3,500? Yeah, it's pretty boring stock. It has like little spurts, as you know. Maybe tomorrow is going to be its spurt. I don't know why exactly it's boring. I couldn't explain to you that. It's just no Wall Street little algorithms trying to purchase it. I was watching something the other day, actually, and people were speculating on how many algorithms are in the market in terms of overall trade. And it's been speculated it's around that 40 to 60% of all trade in some ways is now done by an algo of some sort. So isn't that amazing that we're getting upwards of 40 to 60%? Now, personally, I think they should ban algorithms. What do you guys think? Do you reckon they should ban algorithms in the market? That'd be sweet. Get rid of those nasty things. Because what they're doing, you know what the problem with the algorithms is it's sped the market up to reprice itself very quickly. And it's really annoying. Like, some of you guys might think it's cool, but to have like the US 100, like, think about where we were at the start of the week. Think about where we are now. In 2 trade day sessions, it basically snapped everything and fully recovered it, which means that it's very fast. And that's the problem with the market. The market's so quick due to this ridiculous amount of algorithms that are repricing themselves based on history, based on stats. They're not doing necessarily strong fundamental work or anything like that, but they definitely are really speeding up the way that the market recovers, etc. So Amazon, yes, it's boring, but I haven't lost faith in it. I just leave it there. It's it's more of a investment kind of concept, really, or bigger kind of concept. So you've just got to let it play out the game. Apple 175. Look, it just keeps pumping up here. I don't know exactly where it's going to stop, but I'd say probably the best thing to do is to look at the PE ratio with where it was previously, and then reprice it based on current earnings to that PE ratio. You'll probably get like a 190, 200 on it, something like that. So it hit our 165, which I was happy with. And then everything else like this is just more of investment kind of cream. That's pretty good. Square, another one that's potentially undervalued. I think this whole fintech sector is potentially undervalued. I also think the biotech sector is pretty cheap right now. Beam, Edit, all of these biotechnology stocks that I've liked for a while and I still continue to like. However, I don't like them for trading. They are potentially undervalued. You can see where Beam's coming back up to. This stock here has been as high as at one point when we actually did trade it back in July, went to about 140. And I think that the biotech sector is going to have a good year, maybe 2022 or 2023. I can't pinpoint the year it's going to be exactly. It's maybe 2022, maybe 2023. And that's based on a much larger concept. I know that's not that helpful when you say, but Tom, that's literally a full year. Yeah, it is, because it's a full year of rotation. So one of these years it's going to be strong, and then I think it'll have a multi-year strength in it. So yeah, this sector is good, but it's very much about knowing that you've got to be a patient person on it. Mama says, I did research paper for school on this topic, and there is an insane number of algos in the market, and institutions know they don't always play nice with each other. No, they all go nuts on each other, and a lot of them use different strats, and it's insane. Yeah, it's not cool. Not cool. SPY hit 470. Absolutely. SPY continues to look strong. Look, I hope that the community realizes that we've switched at the perfect time, I feel. As in, we went bullish. I've detailed several times about the 450 and the 450, the 450, the weekly, the 450. So I really do hope that people are starting to bring that into their own analysis and figure it out. AMD here, moving back up to the 145. I'm not super strong on the AMD after such a large move. It tends to, again, be movement, consolidation for a while, huge movement, consolidation. I feel like that whole hype consolidation move now is done, and we move into sideways for a little while. And it's kind of like just what it's done in the past. Big movement, consolidation. This is where I think we are right now with AMD. Now, if you want to trade it, that's fine. You could probably day trade it and grab some nice moves out of it. If you want to invest into it, am I scared of it? Not really. Is it at a resistance? I would say so. And it's also one of those hot stocks. Whenever you look at the top 10, there's like everyone's looking at this. Are they looking at it because it's on a ramp, or are they looking at it because they saw what happened and they want to get more action? Percentage to the top would still be 13%. So it's not like there isn't good money there. Need a breakout past this previous support, becomes resistance. You're looking for that long leg doji here. Just get whipped in the next session, and then that should start some nice ramping for AMD. So certainly one to watch if you want to day trade it. Intel, also one that a lot of people are looking at. Obviously, they made an announcement in the previous session. It grew Intel quite heavily, and then it came straight back down. I actually like this zone, but I need turnaround, and that's going to be a double bottom, a lightning bolt, something giving us on the at least 15-minute chart minimum. And then you're looking for that 54, 50, and then possibly if it breaks through that, then you really stay and say, okay, well, can we get back to the 58? So it hasn't moved yet, but there is some nice cheapness in some stocks. Notably those ones. What else is up huge today? PayPal, we talked about that. That was quite nice. Snap, also 6%. Okay. Snap, is it going to snap the end of the downtrend? Looking for it above 57.27 here. And then we can move towards that 70 gap. That could be an alert that people want to send. We've got resistance, support. Currently downtrend. Imagine if we get this. Lightning bolt, breaks past 57.27. A lot of runway there. Let's get the percentage out. figure out what that is percentage-wise. 22% up. So there's a lot of nice action there should it occur. Again, there is value in this market in certain areas. Facebook up another 2.3%. Still a lot cheaper than where it was. People are saying, is it time to buy Baba? Look, how many times do I have to say it? I don't like this stock at all. I don't like, it's not based on fundamentals. It's not even based on technicals. It's just based on literally the government's eyes are all over this stock. There's a lot. I mean, why take the risk here is what I've got to ask yourself. Why take the risk here? You can take the risk and you can possibly make 100% gain, but you could also take another stock like a DKNG. Not that I'm saying that's the one you want to pick, but you could also make 100% gain based on what you've seen on the left-hand side. Is this worth the risk? Let's see what the chat thinks. We've got 600 people here. Guys, do you think it's worth the risk of continuing to do this? Donkin Dave says, Tom, why did SE drop so much? Because it's massively overpriced fundamentally. Massively. It burns cash out of control. That's why. It's a great company, but it super burns cash. This is what happens to a growth stock when it misses one earnings. And I always, like, a lot of people are just finding that out now. Why is Roku down so much? Why is Square down so much? Why is PayPal down so much? Because their valuations became leading. And then when they drop one earnings, it doesn't even mean they made less money. But when they don't grow at the percentage rate that the market is starting to price in, you will get dominated. Still a good company. This is a very good company. But that's partially why. It's just complete overvalued market. And that's why you've got to be excited about the market right now, because everyone says, oh, it's rip off, rip off, rip off. But really, where the market was super scary was actually more like February. When we had that February, March period this year, where a lot of people did get into the market for the first time, this period was terrifying to many long-term investors because we saw the rise of SPACs. We saw the rise of every single one of these types of things, and it just wasn't good. So we just got the close bell. Let's load up both markets, have a look at these closes. So we'll go to the US 500. We'll go to the US 100 over here. And you'll notice the US 500 and 100, they pretty much went up, rallied a little bit, hit the 47.14 here, and then came straight back down and closed right at 4,700. So is that a pretty bullish V shape? Absolutely. If we check out the 5-minute chart here, nice little rally there at the end of the day, and then came straight back down. It looks like we've got a fairly decent little trend line coming behind the market now as well. So you could probably put that up on your charts so you know where potential support could be in previous sessions or sessions if you're looking at day trading. And it looks like it even was going up like that. See this? Up until just near the close. So yeah, bullish closure here for the markets. Not surprising. I would say we continue to grind. There will be some days of sell-off, so don't not expect that. If you're wondering where do you start to get a big excited about selling, well, like Nasdaq would be pretty simple. You're looking at this 16,250 breach underneath that. What's going to happen? We just spoke about algos. You get underneath, algos will start to short, algos will short it, and then it could create an opportunity if still remaining bullish to the upside. IWM closed below the 20. Yeah, IWM closes exactly right here, and you're talking about the 20 daily, I assume. Yep. It's not super crazy strong at the moment, IWM. It's got a bit of work to do, but it's got the best upside potential. Michael H says PayPal's trouble started when they announced buying Pinterest, and then deal fell through. Nothing but downhill since then till now. Exactly. Well, they made an agreement. Well, not an agreement. They said, "Oh, hey, we're looking at purchasing this," and then backed out within like 24 hours after they got a bunch of people yelling at them. That was a huge part of it, but the whole fintech sector. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. Anything to do with these not so much necessarily just fintechs, but anything to do with these cards and stuff, they went down pretty hard. I mean, look at Visa. Visa's still trading at a almost $40 cheap rate compared to the rest. MasterCard, another one that's cheap, that's trading pretty cheap compared to where it has been. These have started ramping, the older stocks, but Square and PayPal, they're still, yeah. I think that if you actually look at them, can I load my macro trends? Let's see if it works. Nope. Oh, if it's not going to work, I can't show you it. But yeah, they are a lot cheaper and they're actually ratioed pretty well right now. SE is a Singapore-based company. I don't know why people are hating on it as Chinese. It's not Chinese company. It's Singapore. They got cool ads, guys. You got to love them. Very cool ads. Hubie says, remember how scary the pre-market was in Feb? Yeah, it was certainly a thing here. And Midas Touch says, Tom, I think Nvidia just formed an inverse head and shoulders on the 2 hour. Okay, let's have a look. Nvidia, cool if it was showing that 2 hours. I wouldn't go with that one. I mean, what you're saying is here's your left shoulder, here's your head, here's your right shoulder, and then like a little movement down. I usually prefer them to be a little bit more pronounced and generally have like a max pain kind of in them where it goes through the support, which it does have. Left shoulder, I wouldn't say is very pronounced here. Either or, I mean, you'll be correct if you breach your resistance. So does it have like a little kind of flaggy looking thing here? Sure. It's like a little flaggy thing. Breaches out of there, moves up to 334. Then if it closed above 334, I don't doubt you'll get your distance. So yeah, that's how I'd look at it. Uriel says, Barber, no swing. Barber investing, yes. Well, investing is a different story. So Barber from a trade perspective, I just think it's super weird. Barber investing, sure, you can do that if you want to. Yeah, market's closed. That's right. So let's go through the gold markets now. GME doing that thing. Is GME actually doing something? Oh, I think these things they're going to have a little spurt to them, but overall they must be over or very close to being over. The interest is just too scattered now. People's interest is everywhere. How's that old PLTR going? Oh my goodness. This stock, seriously. Nothing good came out of those SPACs, did it? PLTR just continuously sits down here, stuffing over so many people. It makes me upset. That stock makes me upset for other people. So let's have a look at gold. Gold trading at 1783. Nothing much notable here about it, unfortunately, today. You'll notice it's rejected one of the moving averages, just floating around. So we'll have to find out more information as we get it. Silver, still looking at that 2260 for a breach close above. Hasn't happened yet. If you go down to something like a 2 hour or 3 hour chart or something, you'll notice why it's so good. Multiple resistances, long leg dojis, indecision around this area. So breach close above, that'll lock in some accumulation. And in many ways, it kind of looks like a Wyckoff. Yeah. So we've got our max pain, we've got our generalized kind of support, and we're looking for a breach of this zone. So that would be a fairly big deal here, I think, for the commodities, being silver in this case. Gold, US oil looked pretty good when we looked at it before. And let's move into the crypto market. So the crypto market gave a little scare here yesterday. It almost got underneath. Let's have a look at all the different time frames. So one of my favorites on the old Bitcoin is, of course, the 8 hour chart. I do like the 8 hour chart quite a lot. We saw the resistance. We saw this nasty little, I guess you would say, false break to the downside on the smaller time frames. It's now reversed that. We've got a high here at around 51K, 51,200. We breach. Let's hope we breach so we can move. Let's go to 54. All right. We're done. This is enough, guys. Come on, whales. Stop stuffing around with this. We don't want to go down anymore. We want to go to 54,000. We need people to be able to afford Christmas stockings. That's what we need. So this is the area we would like to. Kevin N says, "Oh my God, it's a PLTR roller coaster." Yeah, PLTR is right. Oh yeah, I forgot PLTR is not a SPAC. It just came out at the same time. You are correct, Kwok Fung Chan. That's right. I always think it's a SPAC. I don't know why, but you are correct. It's not a SPAC. It's not a SPAC. You are absolutely on. BTC, we just need above here. Let's get above here. Let's go to the 2 hour again. All right. I think that's all we really need for it. We just needed to move above. Long leg doji down here, massive buying. BTC shorts, I assume, is not increasing, whereas BTC shorts, nope, continues to decrease, which is good news. So I think the crypto market's looking pretty good stabilization wise. Ethereum looking towards a breach coming up. Here's our little one. Again, Ethereum actually played the better technical game than Bitcoin. Came down, hit the level, tweezer bottoming, bam, straight up. You got nice little rejection here as well. So that means if we do close above, it'll be strong. Could be a good 24 hours here for the crypto markets. Look at these levels. Resistance, little closure, move to the next zone. That'd be fantastic. So we've got that. We've got BTC. Let's have a look at my KSM. What are you doing, KSM? Nothing. You suck. Modify that. There we go. So looking at KSM, want a closure above this, probably above the wicks here. So about 320. Yeah, get a 320 plus. That'll be good for this one. DOT. Let's take a look at DOT. DOT just chilling around. Still quite cheap compared to how much it's been up. I mean, DOT always gets bashed. Don't know what it is about the community that they're not very good at bag holding. Very similar setup to the rest. Really, what happens on BTC and what happens on ETH just dictates all the rest of these markets. I don't really care too much about the TA on a lot of these. I just see them as go look for news. And if the others are strong holding, then you can come in and look at the TA. PLTR got no love like snow. Actually, that's a great stock. Let's have a go back to Snowflake. Where are we at with that? 370. Okay. I hadn't looked at it in a while. Yeah, Snowflake's done quite well since its demise over here. We started liking it a lot around this area. But obviously, I withdrew and got out of it just in here. These areas here were the targets that we had. And no regrets. I mean, you could have had it there again the other day if you wanted it. So it's not like you can regret what you did. It's a trade. It's what you did. If you wanted to buy it back, well, you got the opportunity to buy it back the other day. The whole crypto market is a pump and dump, says PK Subman. Yep. And then Terry M says it's all about ETH at the moment. True. ETH is very much the big one. Andy Pandy, $5. Good timing to get into biotech. Looking at Edit, Beam, and Crisp. What levels would you be in on those? Well, I'm not going to give you exactly the levels because, as you know, I can't offer that kind of advice. But I do appreciate, Andy Pandy, your donation there. Let's have a look at some of these stocks. So Crisp could be behind heavily on the technology. It is actually right around the zone that you'd be targeting because you'll notice this is not trade, by the way. Don't trade biotech. Dangerous. Dangerous, dangerous. Why I say that? I mean, if you want to swing it, you could, but you have to have a multi-month approach. So I think that all the biotechs come down to the correct areas recently because you've got here resistance, support, resistance. I mean, you're talking about 2018, 2020, if this company is looking okay fundamentally, that's where it should be trading off. And that is where you're seeing this pickup. Let's look at Edit now. Edit's another one. Where is it currently? It went and hit another previous support. So we've got a massive sell-off into a previous support. In fact, Edit went so far as it went lower than the May and the May lows, and it was trading around that kind of October point. So yes, another one that's absolutely belted. This market is probably the cheapest right now in many ways, these CRISPR stocks to a lot of others. Then you've got Beam, and Beam has been a little bit stronger, but in general, Beam came down to pretty much another zone of support recently. Now, with Beam, I do feel like we've just hit a level of previous role reversal. So you'd probably want it to get a little bit above there. But they're all hitting those zones. And they're off by percentages. But remember, in the scheme of things, while it's come up, whatever percentage it's come up. So what is this now? It's about 10 to 20%, 10, 20%. The upside from where it currently is to where it was is still 73%. So I could see it doing this. But it kind of already did that because it pulled back and then it's come back. So yeah, something like that. Just get a lightning bolt out of it. So you must be careful there, Andy Pandy. I would never buy one biotech. You'd have to be very, very smart at what you're doing. It's more of a basket of biotechs. Finken says ETH and all linked coins doing quite well. A few people saying Chainlink's doing well today. Let's have a look at Chainlink. Yeah, nice rally here. Chainlink really has been getting belted recently, though. I mean, look how low it got. Wow, that was a bargain. That's a bargain. I missed that. That was cheap for Chainlink. You were getting the May crash drops on Chainlink there the other day. And even the next 2 days, 1760. It's possibly one of the better. What is that percentage-wise? Damn. See, I miss things too. Damn. What? 1550? I'm a little annoyed. Buffett invested in snow. That is true, Taibu. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. It wasn't Buffett necessarily himself, but his company did. Yeah, Chainlink, it's at a resistance now, but very nice pickup. Anyone that got it down there or had a pending alert or even just grabbed it over here as an investment. Very nice. That's cheap. I mean, it's declined for a while now. When's it? 11th of November. But still. PK Summon says, next time put super low limit orders on Dot and Link. Yeah, exactly. You can do that. Disney looking weird. Sure. We can check that out in a second. And Finken says, yeah, I'd take ArcG over a single bio. Yeah, I tend to agree. Bio is scary. And then Langdon's crazy. Says, swinging Labu 3x leverage biotech. Let's have a look at that. Oh, my goodness. Could this fund die? Wow. $3x biotech. Doesn't get any wilder than that, does it? It's pretty crazy. It was painful holding Link that low. Oh, yeah, it would have been. Only for the brave. Labu 3x leverage biotech ETF. Yeah, that's truly very brave. All right, let's look at Disney here. Let's look at UPST, Upstart. Thank you very much to the 500 people that are joining us today as well, by the way. UPST finally dropped after that huge move up that it had. Let's go to the small time frame, 2 hour. What do I think? Most likely it's based, but that's because the rest of the market has as well. Just trying to figure out, like, I don't if I like anything about it particularly. I think it's a good base. It's resistance over here. Obviously, it's a little bit of a problem where it is right now, but it's showing already that it wants to get through with these bullish movements. And I think you get a little breach above this. If the interest is still here on that stock, $200 plus, little breach, movement up to the 220. We forget how much percentage is in this stock, but I do also know it's crazy. So, yeah. The base seems to be in though. Double wick purchase. Nice movement here. Get above 200 in the trade. Hopefully rally to the 220 relatively quickly. Let's look at Disney now. Costco as well. That's another one few people are saying it. Oh, what am I doing? There we go. Costco. Costco got whipped a little bit here. I think Costco is an expensive stock at the moment. I like the stock a lot. Don't get me wrong. I could see investment opportunities all over this year for Costco. But I feel like this stock might be in rotation down. Doesn't look cool to me at this stage. Can I check out XBI? Sure. Same as what we looked at before. Biotech just moving up, looking towards this 121 area. And then we'll look at Disney. Disney's not really looking too weird to me. So someone said Disney looking weird. I don't think it's weird. I think it's actually growing. And we've got Book of Boba Fett coming out. That should help the next earnings. 169 now is a clear target for a lot of people. Fill the gap, get to the previous supports. It's getting cheaper. Yeah, I could see Disney like kind of selling off here a little bit and then moving up. Looks good to me. Scott Morgan, $5. DKNG, Chewy Beam. You have to go long on one, short one, and trade the last. What's your choices? So I have to trade one, go long on one. Okay. You know I'm going to short DKNG. You're not going to like it, Scott. You're not going to like it. Yeah, I would probably, if I have to go with your story, I would go short DKNG just because they burn cash. I have to go long on one, probably go long on Beam and trade Chewy. There you go. He wanted me to say I'd invest in DKNG. That's what he wanted me to say, guys. I mean, if you have your picture like that, what are you going to do? Look, the problem is this company has the least history. So you should know that if it's least history, I'm never going to be the one that's heavy investing into it compared to others. I do like the space. I mean, I think the space is profitable in the US and everything like that. And it's thank goodness it's coming off this base here for you. Nice move in the last couple of days. Maybe you've been averaging down recently. I'm not sure. But yeah, well, if we move towards the 20, we're going to find resistance here and then sell off. And then if we get through that, then of course, happy days back hopefully to the 42. Let's have a look at Chewy for you because I know you've been in that one a fair bit. Chewy often underrepresented here on the market, but I think it's a decent trade. The reason I say I would trade Chewy is I remember when we talked about it over here, and then we saw a breach of that trend line and it went down. It had a nice ascending channel. It's got nice trend line resistance support before. It tends to hold around levels of support and stuff like that. It like does have some technical properties. So I think this one will be the better trading stock. And let's face it, Beam is not a trading stock. It's madness. So Beam is more of a, okay, if you believe in the concept, invest in it. But other than that, it's insane. Up, down, all around, and very, very difficult. So, yeah. Kevin says, Scott knows how to wind Tom up, or I wind Scott up, either or. Victor Lau says, lol, shorting DKNG. Well, what would you guys do? What would you do? Let's see what the chat would do. You've got your choices. DKNG, Chewy, and Beam. Invest, trade, or short. Which one are you going to pick? Give it to us, guys. I want to see it right now. Eric says Beam is the short. Maybe Eric's looked at their cash on hand. And then Chewy has earnings tomorrow. Oh, scary. It does too. One more day. On support. We'll add Chewy to our list and see how it reacts. prays that it goes up for you. Okay, Mikey says short Chewy. Paul says invest Beam. And here we go. INF says long Beam, short Chewy, trade DKNG. Marvin says short Chewy, buy DKNG and trade Beam. Okay. No, I'm still going to stick with my invest in Beam and DKNG. I just love putting the short on it. Long Chewy, short Beam, invest DKNG. Price isn't bad right now. Look at this. So many different opinions. Isn't that funny? There's DKNG long. I love it. Ignore Chewy, says King Baboon. You're not allowed to ignore anything. You have to pick. You can't just put it ignore Chewy on it. Very good. All right, guys. Well, I think that probably brings us to the end today. Basically, we had a pretty lackluster market. It was up, which is good. I think we've done the right switch this week. I hope many of you have seen why we've done that switch. You can replicate that concept several times over. Believe me, it happens quite regularly. So nothing here was out of the norm. It was very, very standard to what we usually approach the markets as. We saw that Friday action. This is obviously the futures, but we saw that Friday action come around the 4,500. We talked about the puts there. We talked about the downward slope. We talked about the closure. And I hope many of you have benefited from that from the bull side. There are still plenty of opportunities. I doubt there are going to be any less opportunities in the market. I believe the market's repriced more effectively and efficiently recently. This has meant that we've got lots of hyper stocks that many of you love at actually relatively cheap prices for investment, possibly even trade. And remember, traders don't really care about price. So there's a big difference. If you're a true trader, why do you care where the market is? Okay. Do you care whether the market's in a bubble? The answer is no. Do you care whether the market is cheap? The answer is no, you do not. And then, of course, do you really care about anything, what even you're trading? The answer is generally no. If you're an investor, then you really care about these things because, of course, you're looking at it from, well, I'm not getting it cheap enough. So do define what you want to do. I always believe that traders, and you should be a trader and you should have investments. If you don't have investments as well, what are you doing? You should have both. Why wouldn't you? Make some money in trading, invest that money, make some more money in trading, invest that money, etc., etc., etc. So nothing wrong there. Marvin's now changed his opinion. He says, actually, looking at all three charts, I think I'd short DKNG, Chewy, and Beam. Wow, that's mean. Ginny says, just trade the price action. Absolutely, Ginny. We just want to trade that price action. And have we looked at Roku today? Look, we've looked at it, and I know it's up 18%, which is awesome. But there's nothing much to really say about it. It's on its way towards our previous support, which will act as resistance. Obviously, a big movement out here for whatever reason. It's news related, I'm sure. And yeah, we hit this, probably see a bit of sell off, and then maybe we're finally turning the corner here on this stock. Roku was printing. Yes, it was doing well today. All right, here we go. Michael H says, done a lot of homework on DKNG. I'm more confident than ever after the last couple of days. That's awesome, Michael. Good work. Finken says, I like DKNG, lots of potential. Yeah, the potential in the US is massive for the stock. And it's actually a much fairer price now than it was. Anyway, we discuss it all day long. Gary says, always short Intel. Fair enough. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate each and every one of you. You're the best community out there. And I'll pop a video out later with our thoughts about the general market synopsis. Always appreciate the support, the likes up, the subscriptions, all that type of stuff, and the memberships. Thanks so much. I hope you have a great Wednesday/Thursday, depending on where you are in the world. And we'll see you very soon. Bye for now.